All right, we are recording right now. Zeem is back. So, we want to welcome y'all. We want to welcome y'all to the first ever load management podcast. It's quarantine, man. We've been arguing a lot in the group chat, so we about to give y'all a little inside view of really what goes on in the group chat, sports-wise, music-wise. So obviously you see our names. I'm Josh. You guys want to you want to introduce yourselves, or you want me to introduce you?
You're the leader, man. You introduce.
All right.
It's
So
your show, man.
to my left, I got S. Daly from Buffalo, New York, by way of Schenectady. I got my favorite Panamanian down there in the corner, BP.
You already know.
EP legend, and we got Chad Brown Bully, aka the Fall River Flunky over there on the bottom corner. You got a Raptors hat on. You are something else.
You are something
you
else.
are something else.
He wore that Raptors hat on purpose.
I know he did.
Definitely a fan. Wow. Wow.
Yo, Zeem, do me a favor, Zeem. Turn your volume up.
My volume up.
There you go.
How about now?
All right, which is still a little crunchy.
How about now?
Yo, good. Yo, so the rule is, if you're not talking, you gotta hit mute. So right now, I need y'all all to hit mute. Mute. Perfect. So the first topic that we're gonna introduce is just a really easy one. We're gonna ease into it. So right now, the first topic is the NFL draft. So my biggest pet peeve in the NFL draft is when fans be like, "Oh, that was a great pick, great selection, great value." First of all, 99% of these fans never seen these college football players play. Secondly, nobody knows how to properly evaluate football prospects. It's not like basketball where we can see guys play and a lot of the stuff translates to the NBA. So I get super frustrated when I see fans booing picks, applauding picks, hype about picks. It's like you don't even know what you got. And even if you got a good player, you don't know if they're going to fit in your favorite team's system or if the coach is even going to develop them properly. So that's my 2 cents. So I'm a tee up Zeem, a resident football player, Nichols football college star. You know what I'm saying? So here you go, Zeem.
All right, you guys hear me? Foremost, mic check. Put thumbs up if we're good. All right, bet. So, honestly, I didn't watch that much college football games this year. To me, there wasn't a lot of star players, but if you don't know, I'm a Indianapolis Colts fan, and I trust Chris Ballard. A lot of people don't know Chris Ballard. He came from the Kansas City Chiefs, and me personally, when I look at the Colts.com and who they're queuing up, I do a lot of Google search. Now, what I'm really happy with is Pittman is a name that I've been seeing a lot from, Mel Kiper, all the ESPN draft experts. So I'm really going off their knowledge. But one player that I did know was Jonathan Taylor from Wisconsin, who was a beast, deemed the best running back. So I have no issues with fans speaking on things that they don't know. I hate when they go a little personal with the jabs and, this and, that, what are they doing? Or it's not a sexy pick. Like, they don't understand that a tackle who makes the second most money in the NFL is important. They have to protect Brady's blind side. They have to protect, for us, Phillip Rivers' blind side or whatever the team may be. So a lot of novice fans out there, but at the end of the day, they're fans, they're fanatics. So I'm 50-50 with it. I do appreciate it, but a lot of coaches at home, which that just irks my nerves when they go personal with it. They throwing stuff, burning jerseys. So, that's my take on that whole situation with the fans. Sean, what's your take on it?
I mean, no, I kind of agree with you. Like we always talk about in the chat, like not everybody people watch sports, but I don't feel like they fully understand the ins and outs of sports. So, like you said, there's a certain position that's needed for your team, but to the average fan, they want to get that person drafted that was the big on the highlight reels, the popular players. So, I definitely understand where you're coming from. It can be annoying, especially if you're a person who really values the sport, not just looking at it for like the popular things about it or the exciting. You really understand the game. So, yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, piggybacking off of all of that. You know, I'm a Ravens fan. I like what my Ravens did in this draft. To be honest, J.K. Dobbins, we need something on that ground game. That's huge. We got a couple linebackers that we need. Our defense is getting a little bit old, so we got a couple guys coming in. Again, if you're a casual fan, I'm not really like I really don't have much to. I'm not going to take in what you have to say. But if you know about your team or you know about the organization or the guys that are coming in, I don't really see a problem with it. It's more for I think the draft more so is for the educated fan. The casual fan is more for in season when you start to actually see these guys get their jersey on, get them in the offense once they get acclimated. Or get into their position, get acclimated. Then everybody's saying, "Oh, you see, I saw that guy or I knew that guy," but you don't really know what you have until they get on the field in September, October, man. So again, if you're a casual fan, it is what it is. I think obviously with the draft this year, with everything going on, everybody wasn't fully engaged in it as they usually are. But again, if you are a hardcore football fan, you know what you're talking about, and you know what that draft or what this past draft meant to not only to your team, but also to these players, man. Crazy times we're going in. Like, we didn't even know if we was going to have a draft. A lot of these kids didn't know if they were even going to come out, whatever. But big kudos to the NFL, man, and what they did with the draft this year, for sure.
And then speaking on that, I think a lot of it where we had these novice fans and using their social media platform to go in, everyone's stuck in the house. Everyone's actually looking forward to the NFL draft. So all of a sudden, these opinions that we didn't get in past times because the ratings were down with the NFL draft. And then I was seeing the ESPN bottom line tracker that it actually went up. You know what I mean?
Can I make one comment on the draft?
But
I know we talked about this as a group. Like, can we talk about like all the sob stories and can we get into that?
Yes. So like, what we talk about in our chat a lot is sometimes we all feel like, on the heels of the Black Lives Matter movement, sometimes we feel like certain people try to highlight and sensationalize all the trauma and issues that a lot of Black people, Black and brown people have to like deal with on like an everyday basis, like whether it's police brutality, the way we live, growing up in certain neighborhoods, dealing with certain things. And I feel that ESPN took that to the extreme, and like it's like every single graphic, every his best friend got shot when he was 12, his mother been on crack for like 15 years, you know what I'm saying? And I just felt that sometimes it's good for like human interest stories, like they're trying to get, like you said, like the casual fan interested, like if you're watching a draft with your girlfriend or your mom or your wife or something like that, oh wow, that's a crazy story. But they went too far in certain things. Certain topics and certain things are just way too much. And the last thing I'll say is that some of the onus has to go on the athlete because sometimes you should just not share certain things. Like if my mom was on drugs, I'm not going to put that out there in the media, especially on like draft day.
I agree, but I think that a lot of these dudes, I don't think it's them. Like they're not going and they're not saying like I'm gonna go tell this story. It's the agents and everybody else involved and that goes to show you that, listen, if you go say this story, this is gonna help you out. So that goes to tell you what, certain people value or look at as like a Black or brown person. Like, look, if you tell this story, this is going to make you win. Rather than, there are athletes out there that grew up with like a 2-family household that come from like upper class households. So it's just, I get what you mean. It sucks, but that's just kind of the environment we're currently living in.
I will say specifically, this is one that really pissed me off. I mentioned this to you guys. The whole Joe Burrow story, like, about the hunger. And believe me, I understand, like, we're all from a community where low income communities where we live mostly minorities, and food is not a main source, or if people have problems having access to food. I understand that. Joe Burrow is not one of those cases. His father is the head coach of the Ohio University football team. He's not missing no meals, bro. He hasn't missed no meals. I just wanted to get that shit. That's something that really burned me up because I feel like in the draft there's so many stories that were highlighted. Like you said, the man's mom was on drugs, another kid, his family, people's friends and family getting murdered. Like, these are things that us as minorities we see and hear every day. But I feel like ESPN tried to take the Joe Burrow story and make it and give some validity to it where it really didn't apply, if that makes sense.
Man, I know this. I know you guys say, man, I know this ain't gonna be like fan friendly, but how I viewed it was the white.
We lost him.
Zeem, you keep cutting out. We're gonna need to find Zeem a better Wi-Fi connection. You know what I'm saying? So Zeem, why don't you come in and come back out?
Check and take this guaranteed money. That's how I viewed it.
Yo, Zeem, we need you to find better Wi-Fi because your message keeps getting muddled. So find a better spot. So what
and
else?
the other thing,
so,
talking about my fault. The
yeah.
other thing, talking about when Dot said about going into these rooms and saying these certain stories about themselves. Also, we got to understand when you go into these rooms with these executives, like, they already know 99% of your life story anyway. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of times these players come out just in order to be clean or try to have a fresh slate or have a clear slate. But again, a lot of times when you go into these executive offices, like, 99% of your life story, these people already know. So they just want to know if you're gonna be clean about it, if you're gonna come out, if there's something in your family past that you feel that they need to know. So again, I feel like within the boardroom is one thing, but to highlight that. What happened?
Uh-oh, Zeem got a rebuttal. We got a first rebuttal.
I said I hear you and you're right. But when they go into these rooms, it's like a job interview. Like, you're going to say all the great attributes, you know what I mean? So to go into, how do I say, to go into like, oh, this happened, that happened, I just don't feel like that's a reason to go in there to present yourself, draft me because I came from projects. I can't, like, no one goes in the real world to interview like that.
No, I don't think so at all. I don't think that's the case. But I just think that, like, they know their background. Like, these people are like $1 million investments. They got publicists, they got all of that always are trying to build a story, always are trying to get certain endorsements. So I believe they play a strong hand in if we go tell this story or if we flip it this way as your success story, this is only going to help you further with your career. I mean, looking at it, if somebody tells me that's going to get me more money, why not? But, like, at what price are you paying?
Yeah.
Like, you're basically exploiting yourself.
Yeah. I think that what everybody was mad about this draft, like every single pick, it was like
sob story. Every
his
pick.
dad died, mom on crack, homeless. Like, oh my God, like, his sister died of leukemia. It's like, damn, like, I mean, at a certain point, it's like, all right, bro, like
nobody had anything good to happen to them. Nobody came up in a 2-parent home. Like,
yo, there was a meme floating around, and they were saying that, like, they were showing, like, the back of a newsroom of people throwing headsets up. They were saying ESPN, when they find out that one of the draft picks came from a 2-parent.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I saw that.
I was like, God. So, yo, I'm going to move us forward, man. I think that was a good start. Zeem, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna need you to be more consistent with your Wi-Fi. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, mic check.
Tell,
Mic check.
tell
One
DJ,
time, mic check.
tell DJ and Day Day to get off their Wi-Fi. It's dad's
For
time now.
real. Mic check. What about now? What about now?
A little bit
Still
better.
no?
You keep
Nah, you sound
breaking
like
up.
computer love, bro.
Wow, we paid the
Oh,
bills
there you go.
too.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
You hear me now?
Yeah. So I'm gonna move us. I'm gonna move us forward.
Pay the bills early.
Happens, man. A lot of people home using Wi-Fi. So I'm gonna move us forward into the number one topic, it seems like, in the sports world right now, and that's the Chicago Bulls documentary, The Last Dance, which highlights the whole team but spends a lot of time on Michael Jordan. Like over 6 million people are tuning in and watching a documentary about a team from 30 years ago. So it's a big topic on all the sports shows or the sports talk radio. So I want to just kind of do like a round robin and just say, what's y'all biggest takeaway from the documentary?
Who's going first?
Sean, we'll go with Sean because I see Sean, Zeem, and Bobby.
Right. Yeah, Sean, I'm gonna mute
it. Man, I just feel like I think it's a great documentary for dudes like myself, like around per se, to like know and fully understand like the greatness of Michael Jordan. What I've also noticed is that LeBron fans are so they are willing to say anything in the world to just give them to make believe that LeBron is better than Jordan. I think it also helped me to realize that there's a narrative that guys in this era would totally just like sweep through those guys back then, and that's completely false. I disagree with it. All in all, good insight on like the certain things that they were going through as a team. You can kind of like parallel it to say, damn, like imagine if they had like social media back then. If these situations were going on, this would have been crazy. Like the internet would be shut down. So that's my take on it through episode 4.
Zeem.
So my take from, first of all, it's a great documentary. What my biggest take in, and just hear me out here, is to be successful in any sport, you need an amazing coach. That's all I have to say. And what I noticed is, just think about all the recent champions. All right, Tim Duncan, great coach, Hall of Fame coach, Greg Popovich. If you want to give Steve Kerr, I guess we'll add him, but I think him is more talent. But whatever. All right. Michael Jordan, Phil Jackson. Shaq, Phil Jackson. Kobe, Phil Jackson. Detroit Pistons. Who was their coach? Larry Brown, great. Dean Smith. So I noticed, like, damn, they was kind of like shitting on Doug a little bit, but not really, but just more like, hey, just give Mike the ball and then give him really credit. And I think Mike kind of resented that. That's why he's kind of hesitant, because honestly, I didn't know until the documentary that Phil was actually on the bench for those years. I thought, that was something new to me. So when I seen that, I'm like, oh, wow, this is a Tyronn Lue situation. Like, you know what I mean? It says your internet connection is unstable. You guys can hear me, though?
Yeah.
Yeah? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure you guys can hear me. So you need great coaches. And Michael Jordan got an opportunity to be with Roy Williams, then Dean Smith, then Cumming Oddbot, just whatever. Doug Collins, he coached them during that, like he said, MVP of the league, Defensive Player of the Year, All-Star dunk MVP, the dunk champion. So you need coaching. So, when I think of LeBron, I'm like, damn, he never really had coaching. So that's something that I take, that coaching, you need coaching to excel in any sport. And if you even go to football, Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, Tony Dungy with Peyton Manning, you need great coaching and that guidance. And at the end of the day, obviously the physicality different from today than back then. BP, what you got?
Yeah, definitely going with the so far through the first four. I'm definitely going with the coaching aspect. I told y'all before, I went ahead on the whole documentary, so I'm a little bit ahead of y'all. But Phil Jackson is the greatest coach ever, and it has nothing to do with X's and O's. I'm talking about just how you manage people, how you manage a team, how you manage personalities. What I'm seeing from this is another side of coaching. Like it has nothing to do with the actual on the basketball court stuff. Um, that's one thing I took away from it. Other thing is, people have to stop. I want people to stop comparing the Jordan, LeBron. Like, we will never know. Like, that's what it comes down to. Like, we will just never know. Like, we're watching a Jordan documentary. Why is LeBron being brought into it? Like, you get what I mean? Like, this is LeBron's time. Jordan had his time. And quite frankly, Jordan, I was a little bit younger, but from what I know, Jordan is the greatest player to ever play the basketball. Um, Other than that, like I said, I went a little bit ahead, so I'm not gonna give no sneak peeks on some other shit that I know. But yeah, that's really all I got. Phil Jackson is the GOAT. And again, it has nothing to do with basketball stuff. It had everything to do with how he handled people. Like him being a damn into Indian chiefs and doing yoga. Like he was doing this shit in the early 90s, bro. Like a lot of coaches are just starting to do this within the last 5-10 years. And he was doing this 20-30 years ago. So like he was definitely ahead of his time. That's really all I got for it. As far as like basketball stuff, I like seeing a different side of Rodman, like getting a little bit more inside scoop of Rodman and his personality. Another thing, I like getting to know a lot more about Scottie Pippen. We knew him as a basketball player, but throughout his career, he was kind of quiet. He was never really like in the limelight, never really in the media like that. So I'm glad that he gets to kind of tell his narrative or his part of the story and how he felt in the grand scheme of the Bulls and how he had to live with kind of being that number two. Scottie Pippen's one of my favorite players of all time. So I took an interest in that part, just kind of hearing him out and feeling him out.
Dot, you wanna jump in, Dot?
Yeah, so just from what I remember, like I think the most vivid year I remember Jordan when it was 98. I was 8 years old. Obviously, I didn't understand like how I do now, but I just remember like, damn, this dude never missed. Like it always seemed like he was doing something right, like he was either scoring or he always made the right play. And I've never to this day seen somebody able to do that. So that's kind of what built in my head, like this dude's the greatest I've ever seen do it. Just to kind of go off. So Zeem, talking about Phil, I think Doug Collins, what I read or what I heard about earlier, how Doug Collins didn't take advantage of the opportunity. The dude on the bench, Tex Winter, that was the dude who came up with the
architect.
Yeah.
Doug didn't want to run that offense. He was a players coach. So players coach most of the time is like,
get him to rock.
We follow your lead. They wanted a guy to implement this offense. Phil was willing to do it, so he took advantage of the opportunity, and that becomes Phil Jackson we know today.
Zeem, you wanna jump back?
Yeah, that's what kind of threw me off was like, damn, Doug, why when he made him off the bench and made him sit in the bleachers and all.
Zeem is breaking up.
He might gotta get off the video and call in from his phone.
Yeah, ayo,
yeah, use your phone, bro.
Zeem, I'm gonna pause you, Zeem, and we want you to jump in. Zeem, we want you to leave and jump back in from your.
Come go on his phone.
From your go from your phone and we can black you out. So while Zeem's figuring that out, I'll just jump in really quickly. I'm the oldest guy in this chat. So I'll say like I have a pretty good memory of like the last few years of Jordan. It felt like, to kind of reiterate what Dot said, it's just you felt like Jordan could never ever lose. You know what I'm saying? You felt like Jordan could just never lose. And I'll say this. So not to sound like condescending, but like a lot of this stuff is like a repeat for me because I've seen all the 30 for 30 documentaries, the Jordan Sports Century. I read the Jordan Rules a couple different times. So I was very aware of a lot of these things. Now what the documentary is doing is bringing everything together in one nice, neat package. And what I'm like, my biggest takeaway is just how disgusted everybody was with Jerry Krause. And the sad part is he's actually a really good GM. You know what I'm saying? He's the one that went out and got Phil from the CBA Albany Patroons, and they even went so far back as to say that he was trying to bring Phil in even before then as an assistant coach. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, he was, he had Jordan, but then he still found Pippen or Horace Grant in the same draft. He was able to get a Paxson that fit his game. So, I mean, that's my biggest takeaway is like, damn, like here's this guy like, you know what I'm saying, doing a great job, but at the same time can't get out of his own way. And then on the flip side is like, yo, you see Michael Jordan, dude is at the apex of life. He's the most famous athlete. He's winning championships. He's getting every single endorsement. He's dominating the league. Yet and still, the place where he went to work every day was like almost miserable because of the relationship with Krause. So it was like, damn, here's a dude that works harder than everybody, gets to the peak of where he wants to get to, and then when he gets there, he has to deal with Jerry Krause day in and day out. It just goes to show you that everything isn't always as sweet as it looks.
No, I agree, and like I think that's 100% right. Like Jerry Krause was a phenomenal GM. Like look at all the decisions he made. Look who he drafted. Like even though they didn't like it, it was for what the best for the team. So just to kind of go back to Zeem a little bit from what he said a little earlier about LeBron never had a. This is what Bron fans do. He never had a coach. Like first off, you have to want to be coached. And if I can remember my history correctly, the first time LeBron had left Cleveland was because there was issues with the front office. Whether or not that's fully explained to us what went on both sides, he wanted control. I don't think Mike Brown's a bad coach. He had Mike Brown. Paul Silas at that time was a decent coach for him. David Blatt, he went to the championship his first year, but because he didn't implement an offense the way LeBron wanted it to be implemented, he was let go. So back then, Jordan didn't have that luxury. He did in the sense that, okay, if you don't do it my way, then I'm just not going to play. But Jerry Krause will go on. So they had to run that triangle. It wasn't that we're going to get you to the final. Look what happened. Look what happened when they tried to get Phil Jackson fired. The players revolted, said, I'm done, said, I don't want to play for this organization no more. Whereas on the flip, if LeBron says something and he doesn't want it done, the players ain't saying, listen, hey, the coach may be right. They're running with LeBron. And I feel like that's because of dudes like MJ. When people say MJ changed the game to tailor to him because he was the best player, that paved the way for LeBron to have certain things where dudes are getting paid, where like the players' opinions are sometimes more valued than the coaches. So I wouldn't say it's a lack of coaching, and I don't think it's even like a bad thing on LeBron. I would just say he's such an amazing player. He's such a great player that sometimes like he can overrule what may be best for him. And I think that's hurt him in his career sometimes.
Can you guys hear me now? I'm back. I apologize
Perfect.
for all the technical
Yo, you
difficulties.
sound great right now. You sound great. You
used my
look
phone from the
handsome.
Jump. I apologize.
Dude bought the cheapest Wi-Fi for his cable.
Nah, but just to speak on that, I think my motive behind that was just more of you can be great, you can have all the skills in the world, but if somebody is not tapping that potential, and obviously I coach on a lower level, you know, all my son's teams, whatever. I know BP is a great high school coach, and it just made me think like, man, you can have all the talent, but if you don't have the coach, and it goes to me giving respect to Kerr when you guys broke down the difference between Mark Jackson and Steve Kerr. You see, I can admit when I see things, you know what I mean? Like I see things. So that's something that I was just like, wow. So it
like I said, this documentary, I'm not going to front and act like I remember everything word for word or this scene or that scene. I just know 3 things. One, look, Michael Jordan was the first person to control the narrative. 2, he was the first person to really rebel against management, which I use that as respect, like give the players more power, knowing their power. And 3, he was the first to start with all the endorsements. So LeBron took it to a whole nother level, but marketing with the Gatorade, with the sneakers, I know we're gonna get more into that, but MJ was just that dude. My only thing with MJ is he's getting a lot of credit for breaking through eventually, but I don't know, man. A lot of L's on his record as well. And I think as we're far removed from this, this actually brought back something like he is human. Like Dot, when you originally said, like, oh, you didn't know he didn't do this and he didn't do that. He is human. He did take L's. He did go through trials and tribulations. Yeah, you know, he scored 63 and 48, but they got swept. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm glad this is bringing back he is human as well and had his flaws as well.
So just to piggyback off of that he was human. First rookie year made playoffs, right?
No, I don't think they made the playoffs.
Yeah, he never missed the playoffs until the Wizards.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they said they didn't make the.
So listen.
No, I thought
so
they
this
said
is the
he
thing.
didn't make
This
the
is the
playoffs.
thing that everybody.
Hold on.
This is the thing that everybody
just
like.
to get the facts right. Hold on. Just to get the facts right. Hold on, Bobby. Hold on. He made the playoffs as a rookie. He averaged 28 points per game as a rookie. But the first 3 seasons, he lost in the first round.
Okay. All right. That's what it was. All
right, Bobby, get in.
So just the point, like everybody bases like everybody's career on championships. Like, you're not gonna win a championship every year. Like it's just not realistic. You know what I mean? So the man went through his first 7, 8 seasons making playoff runs. You know what I mean? So it's not like he was on a bum team, not playing on a worthy team. He's making playoffs. He's getting to conference finals, like even if you make it to the second round with a team that really lacks talent, because before Pippen got there, which was what, 86, I want to say, his second year, 87, 88. So that was 4 years into Jordan's career. So Jordan made the playoffs. Basically, we all say, you mentioned this earlier, that Jordan didn't have a sidekick until his 4th year in. All right. So he was making the playoffs, consistently making runs in the playoffs by himself for the first 4 years. He got a sidekick. They went next 4 years, deep runs, losing to the Detroit Pistons, who were the eventual champions, twice in those runs. So we can't say that the guy wasn't winning or that those L's take blemishes. Like, he lost to eventual championship teams. He made playoff runs. Like, so it wasn't a situation where his team wasn't adequate or relevant. Like, every Jordan team made a playoff run. So we can't say that he didn't win, and we can't always base it on championships or him losing in the playoffs is something for him to be ashamed of, or that should put a blemish on his resume. Guy has 6 championships. You know what I mean? So that was just my take on the whole making runs and how guys look at people's resume. Like, the guy made 14 straight playoffs. You know what I mean? So that's just my take on it.
And another aspect that I don't feel that people look at it from this point of view, when you're drafted as a lottery player, 9 times out of 10,
awful team
that's awful.
Yeah.
Like, we seen it in the documentary. Like, before he got there, the Bulls was jokes. They were like, whatever, if that's true or not, were doing coke and whatever kind of drugs. They were like not taken serious. They were like the worst team in the NBA. So for you to come in as a rookie, to take a bunch of jokers to the playoffs, and you're averaging 28, 29 points a game, and you're playing at that time one of the best teams ever assembled. So I don't like Bobby said, not everybody's gonna win. Like, every year he was in the league, he was not gonna go win a championship. It just doesn't happen that way. You need to eventually develop as a player. You need to build a team around you, and then eventually, if you're lucky, those things come, or you get the opportunity to compete for something like that. But when we're debating on his talent level, as far as there was no blemishes, we've never seen it. We can never go back to a playoff series where he looked bad. Like, I'm sure he had a bad game here or there, but overall, his body of work, you could never say he didn't go out there, he didn't dominate the competition. So I think that's what people mean, like, they don't bring up his blemishes, but everybody loses. It's a team game. It's 5-on-5. But as far as what he did and what he put out there, you can't find many times, if any at all, where he dropped the ball.
I'll just jump in real quick. So obviously, you know, we've been watching it, and social media has been going crazy. Social media has been crazy during this. Group chats are booming, and people are giving their opinions on, you know, it's Jordan, LeBron, Jordan, Kobe, et cetera, et cetera. But what it's done for me, it just brings back a lot. So this documentary, coupled with this pandemic that we're in, is showing a lot of old games. It kind of brings back, you know, a lot of guys who we like to watch growing up. And there's been big arguments saying that Jordan's competition was weak. So let's just talk about, let's spend a little bit talking about his competition, right? And then let's spend some time just talking about players that we feel like from that era, from the 80s, 90s, whatever, that we would like to see in this era, and could they hold up? So I'm gonna tee you guys up. So I'm gonna name off the 6 teams that Jordan beat in the finals. Then we can work our way back to the competition just throughout the league. So in 91, they beat the Lakers. In 92, they beat the Portland Trail Blazers. In 93, they beat the Phoenix Suns. They beat the Seattle Supersonics. 97, 98, they beat the Utah Jazz. So I think that the best team they probably faced during that era, just from the way I view the game, was that first three-peat. Was Portland was a really good team. And then in the second three-peat, the best team they beat was probably that Seattle Supersonics team, which was loaded. They were like almost 10 deep. So and they won 64 games that year. So that was a loaded team that they beat. And I think that only one time in Jordan's career did he face off against a team in the finals that did not win 60 games. One time. So I'm gonna let Zeem jump in there first, work our way around.
All right. So just hear me out, America, because I already know America's going to be watching this, all right? So listen, all I am trying to say is when Michael Jordan hit the league, he was deemed a freak of nature, freak athlete. They didn't see dunking like that. They didn't see slamming, gliding through the air, flight, the whole nine. They didn't see that. So he was a one of one. You had Dominique. You had, what's his name? Dr. J.
David Thompson.
Yeah, you had, that's what I'm saying, select few. Each team maybe had like 1, 2 tops. Now in today's NBA, every team to the 8th man is jumping out the gym. I just think of, what's this dude that used to play for the Lakers? Lance, right? What's his name?
Larry.
Yeah, Larry Nance. You know what I'm saying? So, but let me go back to the question.
Hold on. Before Zeem, hold on.
His father was a way better athlete.
His father won the dunk contest. It was an athlete. But all right.
Right. But I was just making the point of the 12th man doing that. You know what I'm saying? But I'll go back to that. But anyway, my only thing was, and I'm just looking at the shooting guard position. Okay? Michael Jordan had to go against John Hornacek. I actually, out of all the best shooting guards in those 6 teams, is Clyde Drexler. Is that correct, or is he considered a small forward? But either way, whoever was playing Michael Jordan was not at his, couldn't even tie his shoestrings of talent level. Back in the 90s, it was big men heavy, right? Where on the perimeter, Michael Jordan was able to do what he wants, when he wants, and how he wants because of his explosiveness. So when I say when I think of Reggie Miller, I don't think of him as a strap-up defender. When I think of John Hornacek, no. John Starks, no. No disrespect to Clyde Drexler. He wasn't, known as a defender. So you're gonna have to tell me on the perimeter who was guarding, locking up a 6'7", 215-pounder Michael Jordan and had that type of resistance.
So I'll jump in really quickly. So
I need next on him.
when you say Jeff Hornacek, right? Jeff Hornacek really wasn't the one guarding him. It was Byron Russell.
Byron Russell.
Then when we go to Seattle, Seattle had Kendall Gill, Nate McMillan, and Gary Payton. And that was the series where he shot the lowest percentage. That was
and Detlef Schrempf gave him some of that too.
Detlef Schrempf was good too. Then we go back further, and then we say that in '91 he's being guarded by Byron Scott, who was pretty athletic. Then we got '92, he's being guarded by Drexler, Clifford Robinson, Jerome Kersey, who are pretty good athletes. And I'll say this, right? Jordan was obviously more athletic than the guys he's playing against, but we also got to look at when Bron was in his prime in Miami, Cleveland, the end of the first run, Miami, beginning of Cleveland. Physically, he was more dominant and athletic than everybody he was playing against and matched up against. Like as much as we think like a who's a great defender now, even like a Kawhi Leonard, as big, strong, and fast as he is, isn't near the athlete that Bron is in his prime. So Bron's always going to have the advantage strength-wise, explosive-wise, and speed-wise, same way Jordan did with his competition in the 90s. Bobby wanted to get in, so I'm going to let Bobby get in, and then we're going to go to Dot and then back to Zeem.
So I'm gonna get away a little bit away from players. I'm gonna just talk about the way the game was played in this era that you're talking about. Okay? Two big things that changed the game of basketball was the change from being able to hand check and then also the defensive 3 seconds, which is called the illegal defense. Okay? Back in the day, the illegal defense was you can stand in the paint. You can stand 1, 2, 3. Now the illegal defense, you can stand in the paint 1, 2, got to get out for 3. Before, you just had to be 1 arm's length from your defender. So now that shrinks the floor, okay? Jordan was playing in an era where you can play a full basketball game in the half court within 18 feet. Everybody was within 18 feet of each other. The game now is so much more spread out. There's no hand checking, all right? There's guys the bigs are not dominating the paint anymore because they cannot stand in the paint anymore. They have to get out. They have to find their ways around the lane, all right? So now we're getting into the players, okay? The plays don't matter when you have a scheme, bro. You've seen the Detroit Pistons had a whole rule for this guy. Force him one way, force him towards the middle, force him towards the help at all times. If he touches that paint, kill his ass, all right? Do you think that is easier to play against than it is to play now?
I agree.
I'm just saying, and I get what you're saying about the style of play. I'm just talking, even with teams, it was easier then. I don't understand how physicality changed the skill set of an actual game. The hand checking, yes.
Hold on,
yes.
BP. Hold on. Let him finish and then let Dot jump in.
Go ahead, Zeem.
Dot. So what you got to understand, Zeem, now when you're playing defense, bro, the way the rules are set up for the just imagine like you're on an island with somebody. You're on an island with James Harden. There's no one in the paint. There's a big man at 6'9" that can shoot a 3. So you can't sit in the paint or you're gonna get the 3-second called on you. So you're mano a mano trying to stay in front of like one of the best offensive players ever. So it's set up to make more points, make more possessions, make it a faster pace. Back then, you say it's a big dominated league. So let's go Bill Lambert, Rick Mahorn, Dennis Rodman. So imagine on the perimeter, you have the basketball, you're making your move, you have Joe Dumars, Isaiah Thomas, able to do all of that to you. Then you finally get into the paint. You finally break free that you get into the paint. And the court shrinks on you. You have 3 of the biggest guys in the NBA, and you still have to score over that. And every time you go to the lane, they're trying to knock you out. So how can you say that it's like It's confusing, I should say. I don't understand how you would say that that's easier. If you don't have talent, that doesn't have nothing to do with talent. If I'm able to hit you and if I'm able to keep my arm on you, that's going to negate everything because I'm using an advantage to stop you.
So I'm gonna go back to Zeem. I'm gonna let Zeem rebut that, and then me and BP can jump in.
All right, so my rebut to that is I understand you're saying the X and O's of the games and what they're allowed to do and not allowed to do. What I'm trying to tell you is regardless of what was happening, the individuals on the court was not able to stop Michael Jordan at any point. Does that make sense? So that man was still able to average 36 in a series, 38, 28, whatever the case may be, because regardless of what they were setting him up to, he was just so much superior to that talent that's on the court. The talent that we have today, in today's age, where everybody is his size and able to do what he can do and in some form of, I don't want to make it clear that I feel that Michael Jordan can come in this era and still dominate and average 30-something points. So I just wanted to throw that out there before you guys. But what I'm trying to tell you is when he was doing that during that time, he was able to do it because of the talent and the lack of athleticism, the lack of speed, because you can't say, oh, yeah, I agree that today the athletes are bigger, stronger, faster, quicker, jump higher, whatever the case may be, but then have, go dumbfounded or not understand when I say, yeah, because in the 90s, they didn't have that type of athlete. Josh, what do you say to that, Josh?
I'm not going to say, I can't really say that. I'm not going to say that the athletes today are that much. Some positions are more skilled than they were back then. Like a Bill Cartwright would obviously struggle in today's game. But I'm not going to go ahead and say that the athletes then are that far off from the athletes today. Like I brought up to you the other day, like in 98, in the league is AI, Paul Pierce, T-Mac, Vince Carter, Shaq, Kobe. Those are dudes that dominated in today's era. So it didn't just fall off in 99. Things just changed. People evolved.
But Sean, you say 98 and fail to realize that is 22 years ago.
Right, so
22 years ago.
Zeem,
What about what Pierce cooked
22.
Zeem.
And look what Pierce looked like at the end of his career.
Hold on. Listen, right? So what I'm going to say is that the rules of the game kind of dictate the athletes and how they play. So now where you might want to stretch 4 who's 6'11", who just stands and shoots threes because you need pace and space. You had like the Charles Oakleys, the Anthony Masons, the Dennis Rodmans, and the guys like that, where every team had to have a physical forward to be able to protect their best player. Like that's how physical it was then. It was a different skill set that was required of them. Also, what I'll say is that when we talk about the athletes of today in today's game, I think that maybe last week we were talking about it. On every team, there's really only 2 or 3 freak athletes even now. Like we looked at the Lakers roster, we looked at the at the Bucks roster, and we looked at the Clippers roster, and it's not a lot of freak athletes like just running around all over the court. People act like there's 5 Giannis's going back and forth. And the last thing I'll say is that the thing about Jordan, I think that's like a little bit different, is that he has a different kind of intangible than a lot of the athletes have now, in terms of like, he's down to do whatever to win. Like he's down for whatever. And the thing is like when we hear James Worthy, who's a finals MVP, NCAA finals MVP, and he's saying like, I don't even know how Jordan survived that beating that he took from the Pistons. Like I heard Charles Barkley say, when you used to like go to Detroit and play against the bad boys, he said, man, you like wrote your family and said, hey guys, I love you because I might not see you after this. You know what I'm saying? So a different kind of skill was required and is required now. If the game was more physical, you know what I'm saying, Kevin Durant would have to put on weight. You know what I'm saying? But So if you just took Kevin Durant back into the 80s or 90s, yes, he has a nice skill set, but they be throwing him around. When he tries to post up now against PJ Tucker when in a non-physical league, he's posting up almost damn near getting pushed out to the 3-point line.
All right, Josh,
Put him in the third row.
One question, and I just want yes or no. Is today's game athletes and players faster, quicker, skilled, in shape, athleticism than in the 90s? Just yes or no?
It's the evolution, bro.
I'll say the game is more athletic, yes.
Yeah.
Skill-wise, I would say no, because, and then I'm gonna stop talking.
All right.
Players then had a more diverse skill set in terms of like guys could post up, guys could shoot a long shot, guys had mid-range, guys that handle. It was a little bit different type of game. It was more of a skill game than an athletic game. Not to say that they weren't athletic, but they're more athletic now, less skilled. Guys are specialized, like, 3-and-D, stand in the corner and shoot the three. You know what I'm saying? So that's my answer. So yes, to answer your question, more athletic, no, less skilled.
All right, BP, what do you guys say, BP?
I will say, because me and you have argued this all the time, and I say all the time, the game today is faster, stronger, more. I say that all the time, and I think the evolution of the game. I think it's the type of training that the kids have. I think it's the type of recovery that we have, the science that we have, athletics, like all of that. Like it's right now is the peak of the game. But with that being said, I think far too often, Zeem, you discredit like past players and past errors and their abilities and capabilities and like, have you like, Dot says this all the time. We watch NBA on TV. When you go to that game and you're sitting on that floor, that shit's different, bro. Like these are prime athletes flying, running.
Even when we ref these AAU games, yeah,
it's different, man. But I just don't think like, I don't know if we could ever be able to tell like who would be a prime athlete that can transition. But I think right now today is the best that we've ever seen with athleticism, with training, with sports science, with all of the above. So I will not deny that. But again, I do feel like you discredit older players or older eras, past eras, and what they did or their capabilities.
Yeah, like not for nothing. Like, bro, like two things. AI's Hall of Fame speech, if you could remember, AI is somebody that dominated in the league, like one of the best players of all time. You'll never fix yourself to say, oh, AI wouldn't be able to kill it in today's game. You would say AI is a killer. When that man talked at his his Hall of Fame speech, he said, yo, the first time I saw MJ, it was like, damn, this is really God. This is really MJ. Like, I couldn't believe it was a real human. And they're gonna say that about LeBron one day for sure. But that just goes to show you, bro, like just somebody that was a killer himself saw someone else.
And that was the end. Hold on, and that was the end of Jordan's career that he's saying this.
Jordan's on his way out. This is last year.
This is 96, 97, 98 Jordan he's saying this about. The end of his career.
All right, so let's talk about players that can transition or play in any generation. And this was a hot debate. I just want America to know that for 2 weeks, I've been taking lashings in my group chat. Like, I have to open it with one eye open, like, ooh, a lot of ha-ha-has and LOLs and QLTMs, you know what I'm saying? But John Stockton, Jeff Hornacek, I want America to hear me out. They will not be as successful, and John Stockton will not be a Hall of Famer. Yes, I'm saying it, America, in today's game. He will be a Ricky Rubio. He will not know what to do if he sees a Curry, Harden, Ben Simmons, Drew Holiday, who else? A Westbrook, a CP3, John Stockton. Kudos to him and what he did in his career during that time. He was an elite. He deserved to be a Hall of Famer. But in today's game, he'll get eaten alive. Pause.
So let me ask you a question. If Hornacek can't do anything in today's NBA, how does Corey Joseph have a job? Players like that. where they're elite
Co-
defenders.
Corey Joseph is nice, bro.
What do you think
He is
Jeff
a
Hornacek
solid
is?
role player.
Stop.
So what do you think
He's a
Jeff Hornacek
solid
is?
role player.
So what
You're
is
talking
Jeff
about a solid
Hornacek?
role player.
So Corey Joseph will cook. Patty Mills will cook.
No, I didn't say he's cooked.
Or
I
like
said
compete in the
solid
NBA.
role player.
So
In
Jeff
the
Hornacek
NBA,
can't,
solid-
but Patty Mills
That's
can't.
what Jeff Hornacek will be. He'll be on a bench on a nice team.
That's
will
what he
not be a
was.
starter. He will
But that's
not
what
be
he
a
was.
starter. He would. No. He wouldn't come off the bench. He started.
No,
on
he was
those
a starter.
He wasn't a
started
star. He was a good role player.
Nah, listen. Let's just focus on Jeff because I don't think a lot of the
Yes,
audience
focus on
will know
Jeff.
Let's focus on John Stockton because I feel
Oh,
like
man.
everybody will know who John Stockton.
So can I
is.
break this down for a second?
Yes, go ahead.
So,
So what you have to understand is, bro, John Stockton's a very good guard, one of the best passers to ever play this game. So
Absolutely.
you're looking at it like, okay, if he sees Westbrook, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen so in his era, he had Karl Malone, one of the better power forwards. So
One of the best. Yep.
let's say John Stockton is born in this era. He has an AD. He has a Karl Malone. It's organized basketball, Zeem. It's not street ball where you're like constantly matched up with somebody one-on-one. So when AD or Tim Duncan are setting those screens and he's coming to the screens, he's shooting floaters, he's shooting mid-ranges, he's giving you bounce passes on the needle passes to his big man, and he's getting 9 assists, 10 assists a game just off of playing with AD or Duncan. Like, how does that?
Why when I say he'll be a Ricky Rubio? That's what sounds like with Ricky Rubio. First of all, he wasn't a great
Ricky
three-point
Rubio.
shooter. He was an
Hold on,
excellent
Zeem.
shooter.
Hold on. Let me stop you, right?
Yeah. Go ahead.
What you're doing is just looking at him like when
He's just
people
looking
do-
at a white boy.
Yeah, like when people
Just
do
looking at a
draft
white boy. That's what he's
comparisons.
doing.
When people do draft comparisons and they compare one white basketball player to another because they haven't they don't know his game. So I'm just breaking down for you that I must bounce past it to be
Yep.
in the corner. So all right, so here's the thing about
Yep.
Jeff Hornacek, right? So Jeff Hornacek isn't an elite athlete like a Russell Westbrook and all that. But the thing about it is there's a lot of great athletic point guards who can't really stick around in the league because they lack the IQ and the skill set. So when you compare Ricky Rubio, who's a solid NBA starter, to a guy who's in the Hall of Fame, right? So Ricky Rubio's skill set is completely different from what John Stockton does. Like John Stockton, I want you to picture what John Stockton was. Steve Nash that could defend and was physical. Like, it's not all about like who's the fastest, who could jump the highest. Like when we're talking about a guy that can run a show, a guy that ran a show for 15 years, that had seasons where he averaged 14 assists a game in a slower era, right? So if you you see what Steve Nash was able to do with like an Amari Stoudemire. He got Amari Stoudemire $100 million from the Knicks, right? So
Facts.
John Stockton is like it's Steve Nash who went back-to-back MVPs in the middle of the 2000s when Kobe, Wade, Bron, and all these freak shows are running around the league. He wouldn't have a problem with a Dame Lillard who doesn't defend. Russell Westbrook, huffs and puffs, doesn't defend. Steph Curry, not a good defender. Like, and even like a Pat Beverly, as good a defender as Beverly or Avery Bradley is, there's only so much you can do because the league is just pick and roll. And that's the thing. John Stockton and Karl Malone made the pick and roll in the league famous. They ran pick and roll all game. They're like, yo, he went against like a Gary Payton, great defender. Jason Kidd, great athletic defender, and shredded them. Gary Payton's telling you, like, yo, I hated covering this guy. And it's not because, oh, man, he's this great athlete. He's going to get to his spot. He's a very, 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 very good shooter, which separates him from a Ricky Rubio. So it's not about the athleticism all the time. It's about skill set and knowing how to run a show. Like, trust me, there's lots of teams right now that would love to have a John Stockton, a guy that a coach, a GM can say, all right, he's going to give us 17 points, 12 assists, and going to have everybody in the right.
Okay, I respect that. Okay, now tell me in your ranking, I know it's all hypothetical and it's just tough, where would John Stockton be as a point guard in today's NBA game?
Bro, how can you answer that? Like, who
You
can
can
answer
answer that. What do you?
How can you
Let him,
answer that?
hey,
You
hey,
can't
hey, let
answer
him, let
that.
him,
What
let
are you
him, let him,
talking
let him
about,
go.
Z?
He didn't
You're talking
interrupt you.
about the top assist man ever in the history of NBA.
Because of longevity, because he
Bro.
played 22, 23 years. So let's hold off on that. And then secondly, is he better than Curry?
One second. Don't discredit him.
This guy's
He
ridiculous.
averaged over 12 assists a game for 5 straight years. He was averaging. Don't say because of longevity. He was putting up numbers that no one is.
He was. But when you play 20-something years, you're gonna be the all-time. Like
You're
get
just a
it.
racist.
Yo,
Like you
Zeem,
can, like,
he
not
did
for
add,
nothing.
listen, he averaged 11
Josh.
assists a game. He averaged 11 assists a game.
Josh, I
11
can
assists a game.
understand if he like saw John Stockton play and he was like, all right, I don't, but he can't say nothing in his game that he feels that wasn't good, that wouldn't translate.
I with this, he's not a great 3-point shooter. Is that accurate to say?
He's a great shooter, bro.
Bro, he is
fast would have probably helped this game if you could pass.
He is he is one of the originators of the screen and roll. In today's game, hold on, Z. In today's game, where it's nothing but screen and roll and so much space. We just talked about how the game was played.
What is he going to do with that space?
He was averaging 11 assists with Carmelo, with the lane congested, with fucking 8 other people in the lane. What is he going to do now when there's 8 other people surrounding the perimeter?
And not for nothing, Zeem.
Better
than Tony Parker's not better than John Stockton.
What? No.
What? Tony Parker 8 off of that system. So imagine you get
and what system? What Sloan? What did he do? He put in the system.
But imagine he has Duncan, he has Andy Green, he has Patty Mills, he has Kawhi.
I'm gonna say this.
You know what he'll do?
Hey, yo, all right. So listen, right? I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna move us.
Sure. Don't talk to me no more for the rest of the night.
Hold on. Listen, right? So Zeem, right? So what you're failing to like kind of like realize is that all right. Listen, Tony Parker is much quicker than John Stockton, but understand this, right? John Stockton shot 52% for his career. As like that's like 7 to 8 points higher than Russell Westbrook, and he shot 39% from three. He shot 39% from three.
In that era. Yes. I don't know if you'll be able to do it in this era.
No, he would shoot better. Hold on. He would shoot better because now there's more emphasis on taking threes, right? Towards the end of John Stockton's career, people are like, all right, we could take some threes. But like, yo, bro,
I think you guys forget, he used to shoot like this, side of his head. But anyway,
look at how Reggie
I did my little YouTube.
What is wrong with this guy?
Look at how Reggie Miller shoots.
What is
how Reggie Miller shots? Ugly as hell.
King shoots. Kevin Martin used to shoot.
What are we talking about?
We just listen. So Zeem just got zipped up on that one.
Yeah, man.
So I'm gonna move us forward. Which players do you guys see from the 80s that you think would really thrive right now? I'll start, and this is gonna surprise y'all, but I've been saying Isaiah Thomas would eat and feast in this era because he was.
Hell yeah.
He was you know what I'm saying? He was so fast and so quick. He was like Chris Paul with balls. You know what I'm saying? So that's my pick.
I don't know who I can really point out from the 90s outside of Jordan. I'd probably say Clyde definitely would be one. I just think Clyde's lack of shooting from the outside would hurt him. I'm trying to think from the 80s. David Thompson. I think David Thompson is another one, even though he was like late 70s, early 80s. David Thompson's game was just like it's legendary. Like, you know what I mean? Like he was Jordan before Jordan, if that makes sense. Obviously not the accolades, but I'm talking about the style of play, up and down, athletic, can get up in the air. His jump shot, how much air he got on his jumper was crazy. So that's another guy I can think of.
Zeem, you guys want to jump in?
Yeah. I can't lie. I got to represent for my Nigerian brother. I got to see Akeem Olajuwon in this era.
Oh, yeah.
Like the other, you see You seen the other day, who did the move baseline? I don't know, but someone did the move baseline. Then they brought back clips of Hakeem. And then one thing I noticed, Kobe went to Hakeem, right? One of the NBA players modern day was like,
Dwight
did the training with them.
A couple
Kobe,
went to him. Yeah,
Dwight
Bron,
Howard, I believe, as
Bron,
well.
Amari.
LeBron. So Amari, exactly. So these are players that they look like, when they obviously watched the film more than I did, he must have been showing skill set, and obviously to be drafted over Jordan in that, coming out of Houston. He went to Houston University, right? I don't want to sound stupid.
Yeah.
Hakeem,
But whatever
University.
university
Yeah.
that Hakeem went to, getting picked over Jordan, you had to have a skill set. So I would love to see him in today's day and age.
I agree. I was gonna go with Hakeem too. Like just his game, his height, like how he put the ball on the floor, how mobile he was, how fast he was for his size. I think that would translate the most today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Another guy you guys was talking about the other day when you was just watching that Houston game, Ralph Sampson, man. Ralph Sampson don't get a lot of credit.
Yeah.
Like he was a revolutionary big guy. Like his
He's got
size,
hurt.
his athleticism, his touch. Like he was another one that was one of them dudes.
But I think
Like
his got cut short because of the injury, so we didn't
his
really
injury,
have that many years of doing it.
Yeah,
Right.
true.
Like certain guys that were even watching on the Bulls in this documentary, like people are focusing more on the Chicago Dennis Rodman. I'm thinking about the Detroit Dennis Rodman, who was the defensive player of the year. He'd be the perfect defender, big man for this era. Also, one of your guys, Zeem, I think that David Robinson in this era was a little bit the way that he could shoot it, the way that he could, you know what I'm saying, as physically athletic and agile as he was, I think he'd be great.
Thanks.
I see a lot of guys that would really be good in this era. And I was actually talking to my pops about it, and he said that he feels that if some of those athletes back in the 80s had the modern training and they would open the floor up, they would look even better, because he's telling me a story about how he went down south and played some tournament in a college, and how quick and how fast the players were. Then when they came back up and played in the colleges around this area, it felt like the other schools were moving in slow motion.
Right.
So just playing at that speed would get a John Stockton ready for that kind of thing, because Steph Curry's not really athletic. He's not strong. He's not super fast. He just has.
But he has ball handle skill set. He has a
and he can shoot it.
release, and he got range. Yeah.
So
that's an asset.
So you're trying to tell me Stockton has no handle now?
He could
don't even know.
Are you telling me he has handle?
Yes, bro. Just because you don't do tricks don't mean you don't have handle.
Hey, Zeem, right? Before I move us off the topic, I'm gonna just say something about John Stockton. So in the 1988 playoffs, the Lakers had to play the Jazz in the semifinals. And I'm watching an old tape game. Me and my pops taped the whole series. I'm watching it, and the announcers kept saying, because this is a while ago, man, the Jazz are so quick, they're so athletic. And John Stockton was just running circles around Magic. And Byron Scott.
I know you don't like when we tell you to watch it, you don't like to watch it. You're watching, so you're playing Fortnite. But yo, just one time, and so you can see for yourself.
I don't know why. There's no point of watching film from 30 years ago, knowing the outcome, knowing what's going to happen.
So you can understand, so you can kind of.
It's fun to watch. There's nothing else to watch. There's no live games.
I hear you on that one, but I'm 95 and above. Oh, another player real quick but it was more 90s. I love to see what Penny would have done now, as because he's like the prototypical 6'7" point guard nowadays. You know what I mean? So he was the originator of that. You know what I mean? So I just want to throw that on before we move on.
Before Penny got hurt, he was first team All NBA with John Stockton.
Oh God.
With John Stockton, man. Listen. So I'm gonna move us through a few quick hits to kind of wrap this up. So who do you guys feel is the most annoying sports media member? I'm gonna go last. I'm gonna let you guys go.
Who wants to take that first?
I'll go.
All right, go.
I used to respect him, but now he's becoming corny to me. Kendrick Perkins, like I can't take him anymore. Like you could see he has a clear agenda. Like LeBron could do no wrong. Like he says whatever. He be lying, talking about nonsense about his kids ran up all this money on Fortnite. Like he's just turned into a clown just to get on TV. Like he's annoying. Like I just can't stand that dude.
BP, who you got?
Yo,
Yeah, who you got?
my fault. I missed the question. What was that?
The most annoying sports personality, TV host, whatever.
Oh, it's funny because we mentioned it earlier and we said white on white crime. It's definitely a toss up between Max and Will Kane, bro. Like, cause I don't like Will for obvious reasons. Like he's as Republican as you can get, and he brings that to his sports opinions. But Max just talks and says things for shock value. You know what I mean? Like he'll never have like. Most of the times he doesn't have facts. Like he just talks out of the side of his neck, and it is for shock value. And I understand that makes good television, but like at the end of the day, you're a sports analyst. Like say your true feelings. Like how do you really see it? How do you really perceive something? So Max is one. I watch First Take every day, really just for Stephen A. to roast him.
All right, so I'm gonna go. I know it's gonna be a shocker because I always use his tweets and clippings or whatever, but Skip Bayless for me, man. Like, not for nothing. Like, you guys, I watch CNN, MSNBC, but honestly, most of my news, I watch Fox News. You know what I mean? Because I always want to hear what the other side is saying. And Skip Bayless right now is every topic. He brings it back to Michael Jordan. He brings it back to LeBron's failures. He brings it back to Tom Brady. He brings it back to just like he has an agenda, and he picked Shannon Sharp because he's always going to go opposite. So I love that show. I watch it faithfully. But honestly, Skip Bayless is just getting draining on how much he derides Tom Brady. He derides Michael Jordan. And he opts out information and becomes hypocritical at the end of everything because it's good for one, but it's not good for the other. Who you got, Josh?
Me, I'm gonna start with Rob Parker.
Oh yeah.
Like, if you're doing a championship, or like, I mean, like, he talks about, like, he'll talk about like a Steph Curry or like a Dirk Nowitzki, like they just suck.
Right.
Nick Wright's up there for me too. He just gags LeBron too much. He gags him. I mean, at the end of the day, like Shannon kind of does it too, but it's like in jest, like he's joking about it, like
he's cooler about it.
Yeah, deep down, I heard Shannon say, like, I saw Michael Jordan on an elevator. It was like he wasn't even a man. It was like he was.
God, yeah.
So he's just doing it because, like, all right, I'm trying to get paid off this.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? And then Jason Whitlock. So the thing that's like crazy about like Jason Whitlock is like he's super talented at what he does.
For Rutgers.
But it's like, it's like, dude, like he was like shooting, he was killing Cam Newton for workout videos, and he's willing to shoot the kicker that the Patriots just drafted a whole bunch of bail. So I don't think he's racist. I'm like, dude, like, he really, he's one of them black dudes that just scared of what white people think, and they're gonna take away my show and take away my like you don't have like. The funniest part is that the white dudes probably don't even respect you.
Right.
In fact, like, no, they don't respect you.
I definitely second that. I can't stand Whitlock. I really
he's number two. He's number two. He's number two.
Yeah, man. I just had to bring that topic up because we talk about the media a lot, and we like to joke around and stuff like that. But yeah, man, it's like, come on, man, like. Come on, Whitlock. Come on. Nick Wright probably has, I don't know, he got LeBron posters up on his wall. That's weird. It's just super weird.
He just knows greatness. You know what I mean? That's the era he grew up on. LeBron.
Yo, Skip.
And people shit on LeBron so much, so he has to, like, you know. And he does come with an agenda, but he comes with facts, stats. You know what I mean? Like, you can't argue anything he's saying because he's got numbers to back. Yeah, he does numbers to fit his narrative.
Yeah, he does numbers to fit the narrative.
Right.
One thing I'll say is Skip Bayless is making $6 million a year. Venom.
To talk shit.
Yeah.
To talk shit. This is why I want to practice in this group chat.
So we can get paid. Man.
We can get paid, man. I'm gonna get us paid.
All right. And the last thing I want to talk about is what's y'all favorite album so far this year? I'm gonna start with Bobby.
So when I got the topics early, I was going through what came out so far. It easily got to be that Little Baby. Got to be Little Baby.
Man.
Easily.
Yeah.
For the year, so far we're only in April, obviously, but a lot of people was feeling that Electronica. I thought it was a dub.
Oh, Jay Electronica.
I feel like we waited. Yeah, that was high quality for 10, 11 year wait.
Facts.
All right, so
I'm just gonna go quick because I second that Little Baby, top to bottom. He didn't have a lot of commercial singles on there, but the quality, the song formats, lyrical bars, and even this new track, All In, I just got it on repeat when I work out. So Little Baby, he just got the streets right now. And then second after that, I hope it's an album, but that Rod Wave, man, you guys need to go revisit that, man. Like that dude sings with passion, raps with passion. I don't know how much struggle raps he can come up with, but Rod Wave and Little Baby, those are my two go-tos right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go
what you got, Sean?
Little Baby, man. Like I play that thing every day. Every day. Shuffle, no skips. Like,
got some things that I can't explain.
Yeah, like
that Rod Wave is hard though.
Rod Wave is hard.
He got his own little sound. I like what he's doing. Like that rap R&B. It's like a hard Drake.
Right. All right, Josh, go ahead and tell us how much you love the Baby.
My Baby's album wasn't bad.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't.
Bad. I'm gonna give two albums. I'm gonna give one R&B and one rap. So the rap album I'm feeling the most right now for this whole year is "Pray for Paris" by West Side Gun.
Oh, I didn't go through all that. I didn't go through the whole thing.
Okay.
That album is hard. Eurostep.
Eurostep. Yeah, that's tough. It's tough.
And then for the R&B side, I got Division. So
that R&B, that Division album goes hard. That whole shit, top to bottom, it's a story. Yeah. Like he don't miss on that.
Yeah, I gotta check it out. I haven't. I'm not gonna lie to you fellas, man. A lot of music came out, but you guys know me, what I do for my hobbies. I gotta hear it in the club. I gotta hear it in the whip. I gotta hear it in the setting. I gotta hear it with my niggas. You know what I mean? I gotta hear it on the treadmill at the gym. It's just hard to enjoy music how I want to, knowing that everybody's staying home. I ain't gonna say locked up.
There's a reason for that. There's a reason for that, but we're not gonna. But we're not gonna talk about it. We're not gonna talk about it.
Facts.
Nah, that Division's album is some cleaning music. Doc called it.
Yeah. I'm gonna tune it in on Sunday.
That's some Saturday cleanup.
Yeah. And like one thing I'll say, I'm so happy with all these Instagram live battles. We're getting all old school music, and we're getting stories behind it. We're getting to know not so much us, but like a lot of the younger generations getting to know like who a Babyface is, who a Teddy Riley is. We was locked in the last 2 Mondays listening to Rory versus Maul with the Fabulous versus Lil Wayne.
I need to comment on that.
And then we was locked in with G Unit versus Rockefeller. I ain't gonna lie, when Rory played Problem Child, I was ready to go outside and fight somebody.
Man, I ain't gonna hold, fellas. I left that Rockefeller one probably like at like 11, so I only saw half of it.
Yeah. Nah, it was epic, man. And honestly, only thing I could say, man, the music that we grew up on is just 10 times better than the music that's out now. Like,
I'm glad you said that.
yeah, because we got music that's sustained like forever, and like, man, I was just like NYPD, and I was just like, oh my god, like I can remember where I was at, what I was doing, you know what I mean, in the street. So, it was beautiful, man. And honestly, man, I love you guys, man. This is a beautiful thing. We got to do this weekly. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a vibe, but all I know is I think I won everything today, man. You're going to see when America vote. When America starts voting.
This guy
You
don't
lost
know
the
any
John
basketball
Stockton
players
battle.
before
Nah.
2002.
I'm gonna let the people talk. And I apologize for the Wi-Fi mess up in the beginning. Josh, do your editing stuff. You know what I mean?
Now I'm putting it out. I'm letting everybody know you got some janky Wi-Fi, man. Wait till Courtney sees this, man. All right, so I'm gonna put this out probably on YouTube first. And it's to do with the recording. Fellas, man, this was a good time, yo.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Bringing that group chat. Yo, I literally, America, I talk to these motherfuckers every single day. It's not a day gone by in the last 5-6 years I have not talked to every single literally square in this video. Hey, yo, fellas, I got the top bed. Yeah, I'm out, man. I'm out.
All right, we out, man. See
All
y'all
right,
next
fellas.
week.